Do you want a piglin farm that works in Minecraft 1.16.2 with a complete sorting system for all of the bits that come out, looks a bit like a Bastion Remnant and gives you 190,000 drops per hour? Yes, you heard that number right. Don't you go anywhere. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on what time you're watching this next episode from me, Avomance, in my Minecraft 1.16 farm tutorial series. Now, if you think a little bit back, I reckon it was about a month or so as I record this, I showcased a farm by my mate RubbishDave that was an insane Piglin Barter Farm. You guys said you'd like a tutorial, so I spoke to Dave and he made it even better and even put in a sorting system for you. So today we are attempting the ridiculous Piglin Barter Farm. Don't you go anywhere. To access the farm, we've got to go through this portal, and that puts us on the nether roof, and apparently this is a newer, better Piglin Bartering Farm. So let's see what's going on. Haha! And RubbishDave, or at least an armour stand pretending to be RubbishDave, is here waiting. Hello Avo, I have a book for you. Sorry, it's a long read. Alright, well I'll read that in just a sec. We've got the farm right there. We've got some additional instructions here and here. So I guess I better read the book. Now this extreme barter farm has a whole lot of hoppers and a whole lot of piglins and so many items running through those hoppers that if you do this on a server, it is likely to cause massive lag. So please, this is not for servers.
Hello, Avo. Ignore the book. I'm here for real.
Blimey, Dave, you nearly made me jump out of my skin there.
So, welcome to the bigger, better Piglin Bartering Farm.
That's so cool. Now, you sent me this world a little while ago, Dave. Have you changed anything since you sent it? Because it's probably best to mention that now.
Yes, Avo, I did have one little change to make. It was right over here. Actually, you should place 2 hopper mine carts on each side here. One just isn't going to be fast enough.
So you managed to include a sorting system with this intensely crazy farm then?
Well, I do have a sorting system added on here. We have all of the items. This is updated for the 1.16.2 drops, which is why we have the water bottles and the blackstone and things like that.
Any big challenges with that sorting system? Because it's doing 190,000 items an hour, which by the way is mental.
There is an issue. We are, as many people pointed out in the comments of the showcase video, going to be bottlenecked by the speed of a single hopper. So this is just your standard sorting system with some strangely named filter items and the item you want to filter.
The Piglin chamber and collection system looks a bit different from last time, Dave. Is that complicated?
Yes, I did redesign the minecart part where the piglins stand. I've put a little step-by-step guide over here. We're going to push these end rods in. That will let the piglins stand on there. We can have the carpet on there. I did try to just have them stand on an end rod and let the items fall and go into a sorter from there to make it quicker than the hopper minecarts even. But I found that a lot of items would get stuck on that tiny little bounding box, so we'd lose a whole lot that way.
Is there anything we need to know about any losses that we might get?
Yes, there is one important thing to note when you get the piglins in. You'll see all these shiny boots on these guys, and you'll notice over here, we only managed to collect 2 pairs of boots. That's because they steal them.
That's good to know. Nice one, Dave. But I've had people ask on how on earth they get 60 piglins into the farm. They aren't too cooperative sometimes.
Yes, I did notice there were people asking, well, how do you get all those piglins in there? Well, simple. This will, at the end, be your gold farm. But for now, make the spawning platform out of something besides magma blocks You definitely want to replace them with magma blocks later, because zombified piglins can spawn on them, but the regular ones can't. For now, make them with something else. Put the holes with the trapdoors above your chambers for your piglins. Give the zombified ones something to chase after and somewhere to fall down. And that's how you can get your 60 piggies, 15 in each chamber.
Genius! Especially on how to cope with those zombie piglins too. So, this is definitely a farm to build in the Crimson Forest, because that's where the piglins spawn. In the comments of the showcase video, Bill Bowen said that the dispensers couldn't get the gold out fast enough. Did you do anything about that?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned him and his comment. I was not thinking about the fact that a redstone tick, which is the speed these spit gold out at, is slower than a game tick. There's only 10 redstone ticks per second instead of 20 like a game tick. So I doubled up the droppers in this version. That way they spit out enough gold for the full 60 pigs instead of only 30.
So the gold farm goes above this for maximum efficiency. Right, well in that case you're going to need a Crimson Forest for the piglin spawning and nether wastes for the gold farm, so as you get maximum zombie piglin spawns.
Yes, you would build your gold farm above here. You would stand up here, craft your nuggets into ingots, drop them into these hoppers, which go into these chests, which feed the 2 droppers that spit out the gold to the pigs.
So we've got hopper minecarts going backwards and forwards here. That's a big change from the last design.
Yes, I put 3 hopper minecarts down here to collect from these 8 hopper minecarts. The tracks they are all on hoppers that spit into a bunch of buffer chests that all have hoppers that lead into the main filter feeding hopper line via way of another buffer chest. There's just so many items that come out of this farm. 190,000 per hour. You can't just rely on hoppers. You need a lot of buffers.
And there has to be a bit of a bottleneck with these hoppers with 190,000 items an hour, surely. What are the timings?
Yes, it is true. This single hopper, well, this double hopper even, greatly slows down what we get as far as speed of the sorting system. With the 2 droppers here completely filled, so 18 stacks of gold ingots, it takes just under 2 minutes to use up all your gold. But it takes over 30 minutes for all of those items in 2 minutes to get completely sorted.
Any practical tips on how to speed that up?
Well, yes, what I do is I stand up here and empty these out as best I can. Use this buffer chest to hold some of it. Once those are completely emptied, I start helping along by taking out of the buffer chest and sorting manually.
Right. So have you got the items sorted in any particular order, Dave, just to make it better?
Right, so on these sorters, I have arranged these. The rarer items and the ones that you get fewer of per drop are at the front, and the more common items and the ones you get the most of are at the back. My thought behind that was, since so many items are coming in so quickly, if we take the more common ones and try to hurry them out of the way, we can get more items filter through. But as you see, in 2 minutes, you get way more items than the hoppers can handle. So it's still going to take a long time, no matter what you do.
Any way we can make this even better, Dave, do you think?
Well, Avo, I'm glad you asked. Yes, this is a pretty good farm in my humble opinion, but if you look at that, yeah, right now it's almost as ugly as this guy. So, if you wouldn't mind showing these wonderful folks how to make this farm, and more importantly, how to make it not so ugly, that would be great.
Totally will try, Dave. I'll see what I can do. Thank you for the geniusness of it. 190,000 drops per hour. That's insane. Right, people, we've got some work to do. Let's start making this farm. I've jumped into a brand new world, which I'm going to offer you for a world download. We're going to make this farm from scratch right here. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction with Dave, it is best to be building this right on the border of a crimson forest and also a nether waste. That's because the crimson forest is where you're going to get your piglins spawning to be able to get them into your farm, and your nether waste is where you're going to be doing your gold farm. Now, we're not doing a gold farm tutorial here, but there is a gold farm that I can link you to in the description below. It's really good and you can definitely do that. You can do it right on the edge on this nether waste here, but this is definitely best to do up on the nether roof. Now, I'm going to jump straight up there, but if you don't know how to get onto the nether roof, again, there are tutorials in the description below that you can have a look at. And we're up on the roof, and if you look at the F3 screen here, you can see that I am currently in a crimson forest right now. And if I carry on that way, crimson forest, and then the biome changes to nether waste as I move in this direction. This is perfect. So I'm just going to go a little bit into the crimson forest, and this is where we're going to do it. We're going to make the item sorter section first, and this is what you're going to need for each section of the item sorter, and there are 15 sections in it. 4 chests, 5 hoppers, 1 redstone torch, 1 repeater, 1 comparator, 6 blocks, I'm using stone, 3 redstone dust, and you'll need an anvil because you're going to rename a few blocks. Now, you need, for the stackable blocks in 64, you're going to need 2 of each, and for the ender pearls, which stack in 16, you're going to need 10 of them. So it shouldn't be too difficult to get those in a standard barter farm. You could maybe build just a little barter farm, again, link in the description below for a really good quick triple barter farm that you can get all of these items that you need. And once you've got them, for where you've got 64 stackable items, you need 43 renamed blocks. I've renamed these cobblestones here with a really strange name, but maybe you want to read it. And with here, you just need 4 of this really strange named block. I've just laid out 15 redstone torches. This is just to guide me. You don't have to worry about that. I just wanted to make sure I was putting these in the right place. So get yourself a double chest like that, and then pop a hopper into the back of that double chest, exactly like that. Then get another chest, shift click there and shift click exactly like that. Pop a hopper into the back of that double chest. That gives you, obviously, things go into that hopper, into that chest, and get sucked out of that chest and into that bottom chest. This chest here is the only one we're going to be accessing once we get this thing going. Then come up on top here, pop a hopper going into that, and for now that's where we're going to stop because we want to get ourselves our blocks and make a row of blocks that are 1, 2, 3 like that, and then come under, make a T, put a temporary block there and bring another one out and one on the floor like that. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get a repeater, place a repeater going into there, keep it on 1 tick. Get a comparator, put a comparator coming out there. Get your hopper facing into that comparator. You'll need to do shift click to do that, but you can see the little nib is going there. And then here you need your 3 redstone dust, 1, 2 and 3. Now when you put enough items in this hopper, which we'll do in a moment, that will give the necessary signal here to come around and release this block when you place a redstone torch on it. Currently that is locked, so if I put something in here, you can see it just stays there. However, if I remove that redstone and put something in there, it filters through and goes into the chest. That is the principle of the sorting system. Don't forget that redstone torch. Now this is completely tileable, so build exactly the same thing on the first 13 spots, and then just do the chests and the hoppers, but not the blocks at the back for spot 14 and 15. I'll be back when I've done that. When you're building up this multiple tiled system, you're going to find it easier to go from the front and move backwards, and that way you can get all of the components in. And once you've got this back row in, you can just slap in that redstone right at the very end. So it should look like this. 13 chests there with all of the redstone gubbins behind it. Don't worry that this all links up. This is an overflow protected system, so only the correct chest will unlock, I promise you. Now these two at the end are basically the rubbish chests, the things that don't stack, the bottles, the books, the boots, that kind of thing. Anything that begins with B by the sounds of it. But you still do need to make sure that you've got these hoppers here pointing backwards, so just put a block there and they'll do exactly that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run a line of hoppers that go from here all the way along to this hopper here. So if I'm just going to pop a hopper facing downwards there and then come backwards with shift click, getting hoppers all the way along like this. You can see here all of the nibs of these hoppers are running all the way up to that end one that's pointing downwards. There are 16 in this row. It's pointing out one past here, and that's important, and I'll show you why in a minute. Now we're going to be targeting this hopper right here for our sorting blocks, the one that goes into the comparator. That's because this is the hopper that gets locked. So this is a hopper that won't suck anything out of this system here as a result of that redstone torch lighting up this block here, which blocks that hopper out. We're going to come into there and we're going to put our interestingly blocked name or interesting name block, and we're going to put a quarter in these four. Leave this one open. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see 43 blocks in there. Then get your obsidian for the first one and place that in the front block. 45 blocks in total, and that is one less than is required to cause this to unlock. You can still see that block there is on, the redstone torch is on, but the light on this redstone is on. One more block will mean that that goes on, which means that can take a signal out of it, which means that turns off, which means that gets powered, which means that unlocks, which means that is sucking things out, and it only sucks from this first block here, so as a result it only pulls through obsidian. We just need to do that in all of these 13. I'll be back when I'm done. So these hoppers now are all full of the right items. You can see if it's a 64 stack, it's 2 and then 43, and with the ender pearls it's 10 and then 4. They're all in there. We've got a double chest here lapping the last 2 of these hoppers. I'm going to put in a load of the stuff that gets sorted, plus 2 rogue blocks that won't be sorted, and we're just going to test the system, and I'm going to show you where it falls over and where it works beautifully. If we come around the back, you can see that that end one is now flashing, then that one's flashing, and you can watch for the next one to flash, which is there. And the different systems flash depending which item is being sorted at what time. But when that is finished, which it will do in a moment, we'll notice that not absolutely every item has come through to the chest, and I'll explain why. Because in these hoppers here, and sometimes even these hoppers here, when this redstone lamp comes back on again, it can lock these hoppers, and as a result of locking the hoppers, it doesn't allow the last 1 or 2 items to come through. Sometimes there's one in there, and very often there's one in the bottom. See, sometimes there's one in there, but given the number of items that's coming through here, do you really care about losing 1, maybe 2 items? No. So let's have a check for all of these chests. So if I come in here, there's 6 there, there's 6 there, 7, 3, it says 1, sometimes 2 missing of each one. Coming along, all beautifully sorted. And then in this chest, that'll be the items that won't sorted, but there'll be some surprises because there is an obsidian in there as well. Now that's because, I'll take these items out, right at the top here, when obsidian comes out of the chest for the first time, it comes out of this one and this one. And as a result, this gets too confused and it can't suck 2 out at the same time. So one of the obsidian goes down that way and the first one shoots along and goes down the row. And that means that it ends up in the sorting chest at the end. That doesn't matter. Again, it is just 1 obsidian out of the entire sort. So I'm sure you can cope with it. Next, we're going to bring the items to this chest up here. And for this, you're going to need these items. It's not too many of them, but quite a lot of hoppers. So you are going to need either an iron farm or get all of those nuggets from your small barter farm and put hoppers together. Take a screenshot of that, write it down, let's crack on. On your double chest, on the bit that points out over the top of your sorting system, place a hopper going into the chest, and then place 1, 2, 3, 4 more hoppers coming out, 1 over the chest and then 3 more. And then we're going to build a 6x3 platform of hoppers, this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see in total we've got the 6, and then that is 7. And then we're just going to connect up all of these hoppers and make sure you run for most efficient into those like that. Don't go sideways and all over the place because it just won't work so well. Then grab your chests and you're going to be putting double chests in like this. So you've got 3 rows of double chests that looks like that. If it looks anything different to that, you've done it wrong. Then grab more hoppers and place hoppers going into all of these chests, every single one. I did warn you, there is a lot of hoppers, but we've got to deal with a lot of items. You should have a 3x6 platform of hoppers that looks exactly like that. Then grab your powered rails and place in one row all the way along powered rails. Then place the next row all the way along powered rails, and the next one all the way along powered rails. If any of the rails go silly, like that for example, get yourself a temporary block, place it on the edge there, pop in a rail on that side, take out that rail, take out the temporary block, and it will be straight. Same here, if all you do is get a temporary block there and there, place a rail there, get rid of that one, place a rail there, get rid of that one, and get rid of your temporary blocks. You can see there, they are now perfectly aligned. We're now going to place blocks at either end of these rails. So on the far end, away from the sorting system, click a block onto the end of the rail like that. So the rail is going into the block. And then come to the other side, again, click a rail like that. So is it going into it, and then put a second layer on that side. You can then get your redstone torch, go 1, 2 and 3. Now remember, the redstone torch might only look little with a little bounding box, but it takes up the whole of that block, just as if it's a block that size. So if you place it there, it's next to that rail, which means it powers that rail. And because the rails are all connected up, it powers the entire row of rails. Anything that you put in here now, if I just pop it there, will go backwards and forwards, and it will keep doing it forever. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place some glass, and we're going to put glass across these sections here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So it's a 3x3 square. And finally we're going to place some carpet there, there and there, there, there and there. And that stops those blocks from being spawnable. We're ready to make a piglin compound now. The next stage is to do the piglin pods themselves, and these are the items that you are going to need. We've got 8 minecart with hoppers, and then these other items. Take a screenshot of those. Some of these items are going to be recycled and used again. So 2 rails gets used over and over. The piston gets used twice. 11 temporary blocks, and that is a temporary block as well, but it's a temporary block that won't be moved by piston, which is why we're using a furnace. Get 9 of your 11 temporary blocks and put them around the outside in a horseshoe at the front side of your sorter. So at the back here you've got your carpet there. Put your furnace in the middle and place an end rod on either side of that furnace. Grab your rail, take one side, doesn't matter which one, either this side or this side, and place your rails facing into those end rods. Really important that they face into the end rods. Then pop a minecart with hopper on one and a minecart with hopper on another. Give them a little push so they go into the end rod, and do exactly the same on the other side. Go into the end rod. Collect back your rail there, and then use the rail again on that side and again on that side. Place your minecart with hopper there, minecart with hopper there. Give it a little nudge into the end rod. Collect up your rail. Give it a nudge into the end rod and collect up your rail. That is stage 1. Next, put a rail there and a rail there. Get your minecart with hopper, place a minecart with hopper on there, and then pointing on the rail, place another one. That has now got 2 minecart with hoppers on. You can see if I remove one, there is still another one there. So 1 and 2, and then remove that rail, and then come around the other side. 1, point of the rail, and 2, and remove that rail. Then get yourself an end rod and place it on top of the carpet at the back. It will appear at the back, don't worry. Do it again on the other side on that temporary block there, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. Grab your other 2 temporary blocks and place one there and one there, and on top of that one place your piston facing into the end rod like that, and then get your lever, put the lever on the temporary block and throw it. That pushes the end rod into the minecart. Collect up your temporary blocks and also your piston and come around the other side. Pop a temporary block there, pop the piston onto it and do exactly the same. Throw that, unthrow it, collect them back, and you can use them for another project. Then grab some carpet and place a carpet on top of each of these end rods. Just by hitting that bounding box, you can see it light up as you put your mouse over it. And there, get rid of the furnace in the middle now, replace that with a glass block. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go around and create ourselves kind of a diamond around the outside of these places here, because each of these is where your piglin is going to sit. So we want to knock on the edge of the carpet there and place one, edge of the carpet there, place one, edge of the carpet, place one, edge of the carpet, place one. Now we also want to get one on top of this minecart top, but it won't let you. So collect up your temporary block that you had, place it there, put your glass in there like that, collect up your temporary block and do exactly the same and put a second row all the way around too. So you should end up with something that looks exactly like that. You can then take away these temporary blocks because you do not need those anymore. Let's get the piglins in. Now I know that piglins will naturally spawn inside the nether wastes, but they spawn far less frequently than they do in the Crimson Forest, and we want as many piglins as we can. That's why I've said do it in the Crimson Forest that's right next to a nether wastes, and that way you can get your gold farm really close as well. However, you are going to have to deal with hoglins if you do it in the Crimson Forest when you're looking at naturally spawning these guys in using a farm-like system like this one. However, that's fine because we can combine these crimson fungus with some of these soul lanterns, and that will enable us to do everything we need to do. Don't crucify me in the comments. I did think it through. So what we've got here is a variation of what Dave showed us in the intro section. There is a lava pit because hoglins, not massive fans of lava, and they burn up beautifully. We have got our egg here, which is going to take the zombified piglins across, and the soul lanterns will scare the piglins into the holes. The hoglins are not scared of the soul lanterns, so they'll go straight out of this way, and as a result we should sort these creatures out without too much trouble. Now we have got a tall tower of scaffold that is exactly 62 blocks above the level of the spawn platform here, which means you go up and stand at Y205. That stops anything spawning really underneath the bedrock layer, and as a result you should get maximised spawning on your platform here. Make sure that you cover everything that could be spawned on by a carpet except the bits that you want to spawn. Let's go and fill this fella up. Whoops, forgot to cover up those nylium. Best get them covered as well. So from up here you can see the mobs are starting to spawn. You get a lot of hoglins, but you also get a number of piglins and other bits and pieces as well. They will slowly find their way into those holes, and as a result we'll end up with plenty of stock. If you wanted to, you could convert that lava trap into some kind of cooked pork farm, a little bit like I did a little while ago in my hoglin farm video. So after a little while you've got all your piglins sat in their trap there. If I come to the side you can see them beautifully. You're also going to have a number of things mooching around inside your trap because the lava is potentially at such a height where you've not burnt up all the hoglins, and also zombified piglins. They don't bother about lava, they don't burn, they're not remotely bothered, so all you have to do is give them a bash till you kill them all and job's a good one. Then you can remove all of this excess bit here, get rid of the scaffold and leave yourself with these trapped piglins. I'll be back when I've done that. With that whole farm system on the top gone, we can put the proper cap on this now. To make this section you are going to need these items here in exactly these numbers. 2 temporary blocks because you're going to recycle them, and everything else as you see. Take a screenshot, write it down, let's do it. We need to get glass over the top of the piglins' heads, but unfortunately because they're standing on a carpet and they need to stand on a carpet otherwise won't be able to get the gold, we are unable to place glass on top of them. I'm clicking there, it won't let me do it because the box is basically just coming out over. You can see they just come out over the top, so it won't allow you to place the block. So you got to do it in a more sneaky way. Get 2 temporary blocks, put glass all the way around, collect back your temporary blocks and place them on top of one of your glasses. Take out the middle one and collect that back, put in a piston, place it underneath, and then get a lever, place the lever on your temporary block and fire it. That pushes the glass down, doesn't damage the piggy because it's a transparent block. Collect all of those bits back and then duplicate that on all of the other sides. Once you've got the glass pushed down on all 4 of those piggy heads, get yourself another row of glass all the way around, and then get yourself 2 droppers. You could use dispensers, but droppers are ever so slightly cheaper. Now bear in mind that you're going to want to come out this way to turn the thing on and off. Place your droppers at the front and the back facing into the system like that, and then get yourself a block there and a block there. Now you could use glass, I'm just going to use planks because I can, and then put another row of blocks all the way around. Then come to the outside of the system where you want your on off to be, and come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with some slabs, and then put redstone all the way around those slabs like a horseshoe, exactly like that. Grab yourself some carpet, pop carpet there, there, there and there. That stops those from being spawning. You then want to be able to fill up your droppers, so shift click 2 hoppers into either side exactly like that, and get yourself a chest running onto each of the end hoppers, 1 there and 1 there, and there from the top of that you can connect up whatever system you want to put your gold in, or you can just throw your gold directly into the chest. Remember, really 1 full load of each dropper is enough to give you crazy amounts of stuff, so maybe you just want to do a quick 2-minute run like Dave said. Finally, for the mechanics of this farm, we are going to place the on-off system. This bit is a doddle, and what you need is this. Not very much at all. Take a screenshot, but it's 2 observers, 1 sticky piston, 1 bit of redstone dust, 9 blocks, I'm using warped planks, 8 redstone torches, 2 levers, and that's only if you want to be able to turn it on at the top and the bottom, and a single temporary block. Now you're already at the top, so place your temporary block right there, and then get yourself your second block, which is your normal block there. Take that off and place a bit of redstone on top of that. Then get your temporary block and place it there. Make sure this redstone is like the spider and not like the blob. You can right click it and make sure that you get the right shape. On top of this temporary block, place a sticky piston facing in that direction. Take away your temporary block. Get yourself your observer, face it in this direction and place it. The redstone bum should be facing away and the redstone face should be facing outwards. Then get your temporary block that you've just taken away again, place it there, and get your observer and place your observer right there. You can see the redstone bum is facing into the circuit and the redstone face is facing into the temporary block. You can then take back that temporary block again. Now you saw as I took that temporary block away, it updated the block in front of the face, and a redstone fart came out which activated a single tick pulse which made these click, made the droppers click. So anything in the droppers would have been dispensed just once. So that's the bit at the top. When this sticky piston pushes this observer in front of this observer, they basically update themselves backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, because each one changes in front of the other one. That makes a single tick pulse going boom, 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 boom into here continually until you turn the system off, and that will utterly empty the droppers completely of anything that might be in them, including anything that is being fed into them from these chests and these hoppers. So it'll just constantly pump gold, assuming that's what you put in there. I hope it has, otherwise you've done it wrong, into this system here, and then the piglins will pick it up and start bartering with you. However, we do want to be able to turn this on and off. Now at the top, you can turn it on and off by putting a lever on any one of these faces here at all you like. I'm going to put it on that one. We're then going to make ourselves a torch tower. Temporary block, normal block, get rid of that. Temporary block, normal block, get rid of that. Now keep going all the way to the bottom, but when you get to the bottom, 3 blocks from the bottom, you need to do a little bit of a turn. I'll show you what I mean. So this is the completed redstone torch tower. You can see we've got our lever at the top, we've towered all the way down. Each successive torch is on, off, on, off. That's because this torch is not powering that block. So that torch is on, but because that torch is on, it's powering that block, which turns that torch off, and so on and so forth, all the way from the bottom where the red torch is on. If we then power this block, that turns that torch off, and it reverses the polarity of the entire row. However, here we've had to do just a little bit of a dogleg, because if you put blocks next to the redstone system here, it actually gets in the way of the sorting system, and it turns all of these things on, and everything goes to, well, it just gets very, very horrible. So make sure you do a dogleg. You've got a gap, then a block, the redstone torch, then a block, the redstone torch, then a block, and then the dogleg, and then you do your torch tower all the way up to the top. Let me demonstrate what goes on here. If I throw this switch and I look up, you'll see that that observer will get pushed across there, and when I turn it off, it gets pulled back again, and I can show you exactly what's going on by this on-off switch at the top. So turn that on like that. You can see the constant update constantly makes these droppers to fire and fire and fire, and if they had anything in, they'd be shooting stuff in. You can then turn it off exactly like that. Now remember, if you've turned that on, doesn't matter what you do at the bottom, this remains on. So unless you really want to keep this on forever, make sure that you switch that off whenever you can. So the only thing left to do to make this farm actually work is place 3 minecart hoppers on top of these rails here. So I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to do that. I'm going to place 1 on there, 1 on there, and 1 on there. I didn't do it earlier because it was just too darn noisy, but now they're on, this farm is a complete working system. It's a bit rude, turn your bums on me like that. So we're going to give this fella a bit of a spin. I'm going to put 4 stacks into each of these chests. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a real mini test, but it's still 8 stacks of gold, so it's still quite a lot of items. They are slowly going to feed themselves into the dropper like that, you can see. And when we've got enough in there, I'm going to throw the switch and we're going to see what happens. So we've got just about 2.5 of the 4 stacks gone into each. I reckon it's time for us to flip this switch over here and see what happens. If I flick that on, we're getting some serious goldage going into the system there, and you can see it's dispensing out faster than the hoppers can put the poor things in. And coming down here, we'll start to see things being sorted with these lights flashing on and off very soon. You can see that's starting to move now. These are starting to move. So that means that we're starting to get a little bit of sorting going on. I'm just going to pop this in here because I seem to have picked up a little bit of gold. And now let's see, after about a minute, when all of this has gone, what happens. So that was just under a minute and it's already completely empty. So that's pretty impressive. Let's just flick that off. Imagine what that was going to be. It takes about 2 minutes to empty an entire hopper. So that's quite impressive. This is going to be going for a while, and I'll prove it to you, because these chests here, these buffer chests, are going to start to fill up with stuff as a result of these hoppers getting backlogged. These hoppers are probably already starting to get stuff in them backlogged. That one's not. Look, that's already got loads of stuff in it. So all of this stuff is backlogging, and that's got to flow through the entire system before we can see just how much stuff we've got. So I guess we're just going to have to wait. 10 minutes later, and we are still backed up with some of these hoppers. It's absolutely incredible the amount of stuff that this has put through it. I reckon that even those 8 stacks of gold could take up to maybe 20 minutes to get through the system. Yeah, I was right. It took just about 20 minutes to get everything through. That's 8 stacks altogether. Let's have a look and see what we've got. So we've got nearly a stack of these rarer items here. We're moving towards 2 stacks of these items, moving into 3 to 4 stacks of these items. And then, blimey, loads of spectral arrows, loads of blackstone, quite a lot of gravel, plenty of iron, and those items there as well. That took 60 seconds of activity and 20 minutes of AFK. You can't be too complaining about that. And actually you could speed up that entire process, like Dave said, by manually sorting some of the items out of the hoppers. Now, this is a working farm, so you don't need to do anything else. But if you remember, one of the conditions Dave gave me to be able to show you this farm is to fancy it up a bit and make it a little bit more pretty looking, because he thought it was ugly. Well, that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to play around with this palette here. We've got blackstone, we've got warped woods and stuffs. We've got a little bit of Priz because that goes with the warped wood, plus some other bits and pieces. And we're going to see if we can't make this look nice. We're going to do a bit of a time lapse, and I am going to do this on the fly. We're going to make this up as we go along. Hopefully it comes out all right. Please bear with me, but hopefully the time lapse should be fairly interesting. Cue music. I think we are pretty much done. What I've tried to do is be fairly loyal to the Bastion Remnant. It made sense that a Piglin would live in a Bastion Remnant, but I brought in some of this warped wood and warped variants, and also a little bit of prismarine, because prismarine works really well with warped wood. Let's have a look and see what we got inside. Yes, I brought bushes, because of course I brought bushes. Inside it is not a base, but you could totally turn it into a base if you wanted to. It's just a way to access the gubbins and the redstone. So you can come up here and jump onto the redstone, and you can also access these hoppers here should you wish to, if you wanted to speed up the process manually. Then you can come around and come up the stairs, access these hoppers and these chests again to speed stuff up manually, and then you can come up here, up the ladder, quite a long ladder, but you can come up the ladder onto the roof here, which allows you access to these piglins here, and also get up to the top area where you can put in your gold and turn the thing on manually if you should choose to. I've spawn proofed anything that was spawnable by putting on some carpet or something like that, and I think it's worked fairly well. And in the front we've just got that flash of green just to take the eye away from all the black, because a lot of black is too much, even with the variegation that I've put into it there. And decorated that with chains and crimson buttons and things like that. And obviously we've labelled up all of these chests so you know exactly what items are going into what.
Alright, well, thank you so much for everything. I hope you guys enjoy this. Avo, you made this monstrosity look great. I will just fade away.
It was really good to see you, Dave, and thanks loads for this insane but brilliant farm. Now remember, there is a world download for this fella in the description below, completely free. Just click on the link, it's for Java, and that link will take you through to be able to download the world, put the saves file into your Minecraft saves folder, and you are good to go. You should turn up exactly where I am standing right now. If you have enjoyed this video, please do remember to slap that like button. It'd be great to know you're enjoying it, and I will keep on making. Also, if you're not done already, please do hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to see you in my sub club. I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.